Hi, Rashid here. Welcome back with another video on Tickle. So this is the Tickle series going on right now. Okay, so this is very important. This will be a short video, but a very important one. You need to understand this one if you want to avoid unnecessary trials on Tickle. Okay, the difference between these three. I usually ask this question in interviews. How are these three different? And I'll show you some example and then I will summarize the difference between them. So let's start with these variables and we will display them and we will print them and see what's the difference between them. So set func CLK is a single variable. I'm giving it clock A, clock B. My clocks 1 is a variable. I'm giving it $func clock. Set my clocks to, and this time I'm giving a $func clock and putting curly brackets, and this time I'm putting 3 and putting curly brackets. What's the difference between what really happens? Let's do it here. So the very first one, as you expect, it will have clock A, clock B, no problem. We did this before. Okay. The second one, my clocks list. Okay, I think it might be a little different between this one and that one. Okay, it's just okay. Sorry. So you define $func clock. Okay, so what happens? The value of func clock actually goes to this one. So this now my clocks get clock A, clock B. That's fine, right? So you're substituting a value of a variable in another one. Okay, what about this one? You're putting curly bracket and dollar. Okay, here you did a dollar, the value of this variable went into this one. Here you're also doing dollar, but all you did, you put those curly brackets around. What happened? What is the value of my clocks to? $func clock. It didn't substituted the value of this variable. Why? Because inside the curly bracket, substitution doesn't happen. The whole job of this curly bracket is to pass inside as is. And that's what I said. Substitution, and these ones will pass the value as is, whether it's a procedure, whether it's assignment, variable assignment, or whatever it is. They're not going to allow this dollar to substitute the value. Okay. Let's do the third one. This one is the square brackets now. And this time you got error because what happens is every time there is a Tickle native command or a vendor tool command, the square brackets, something goes inside, it treats it as a command. It needs, its command is something that needs to perform an action. It looks for it, doesn't find any tool or native command, and it complains about this. Okay, it's substitute. Now keep in this mind, this is actually very important. I probably didn't mention. It will substitute the value. Okay, because whenever we have a command, we pass it some variable, so it needs to have the ability to substitute the value of a variable. It did that. Look, it says clock A, clock B are unknown command. It substituted, and then it saw the curly square brackets, and it said there is no command like that. Okay, now let's look into this. Here I created a command. List is a list command saying that this variable is a list. So now it doesn't have a problem. It created this, treated this as a list A, B, and passed to this one. Okay, now look into this one. Here with commas or without commas mean the same thing. That's another important thing. If you don't have anything, that means commas. Okay, what about this one? Now this one, when you do dollar and the curly brackets are now inside, now they will pass this func CLK as is to the next thing, which is dollar. So when it joins with the dollar, it knows that there is a variable here and passes the value of that. You got that? Now let's look into this one. In this case, you put their curly brackets here. What does that mean? It means don't substitute the value. Pass as is to list. When these were passed as is to the list, what is the list created? Let's give it $funclock. You see that? See the point of the difference between these three? Another example. Okay, if I do echo, this is an important one. Okay, I did an echo and this one. So what do you expect? Did it echo then? It didn't. Why? Because there is no square bracket opening and closing. It's just the commas. Commas mean, okay, pass as is and do the substitution wherever it is required. So eventually the test contains echo and the value of this variable. What about this case? You are setting a variable test and now with curly brackets you're passing is. So again, it's not going to do any substitution. It just pass this string as is. What about you do this thing? This echo, now it comes as, since there is square bracket, it treats it as a command. And it does the substitution. And say, this is the command is just echo it. And it's echo it, this value, and of course we are passing it to a variable, so it goes there. This is very important. I really strongly recommend that these very simple exercises that are here, just play with these ones and try to get a very good solid understanding of the difference between these three. Okay, let's stop the video here and we will look into some of the control flow commands in the next video.